My next guest name is Jessica. Her husband felt threatened because she was studying to be a lawyer. He wanted her to stop studying law. Let's hear her tell her story.
When we got married, it was good. But at the time he was working, we were living in North Dakota and he worked in the oil field. So he was
Okay.
gone a lot. And
Hmm.
at first it was fine because I was in law school. So it worked out because like I was busy. I didn't really have enough time either. But then I got pregnant with our son and then it got really busy out there. So we really didn't see each other at all. like, um, I think I only saw him twice the whole time I was pregnant and until I went into labor. um, the irony is that shortly after my son was born, then the oil field stuff crashed, and then he was home all the time. But then, of course, we had all of this added stress of like economics and a new baby and navigating that. Um, and I had to finish out my last year of law school, and like the birth itself was hard on me. So then I would say it was really around that time that things started to fall apart. So that would have been in early 2015. uh, we tried to work things out, uh, you know for the next year. It was rocky. We just really couldn't seem to get back on track. um, and then I graduated from law school. He suddenly had different thoughts about being married to a lawyer. And I said, well, I paid for this degree. I'm paying for this degree. I'm gonna go on to practice law, and I'm going to, you know, continue. And he just decided that wasn't for him. And the way it happened was actually kind of shocking. Um, it all happened right around the time that I graduated from law school, and then um, yeah, long story short, it just ended up being a situation where he reconnected with somebody that he knew from back home, which was Indiana. And he just left. And so then I just picked up and I moved to Minneapolis and I started a new life. And so, I think a lot of the being single was me wanting to heal fully, and just process the emotions I had about that. You know, um, it was hard for me because I uh, thought, okay, we're having a baby, we're going to be together. And then
Yeah.
we weren't. So,
Wow.
um, yeah. So then he was like, well, okay, I'm just going to focus all of my energy into, this beautiful boy I have. And then when I got back on the dating scene, it was really a shock for me.
Yeah, the whole story is sounding like shock after shock.
Yeah.
Well, let's go forward to recent when you started dating. Hey, if you're watching me create this cosmic dating map for Jessica and you want your own, go ahead and drop a line in the comments below. I'll send you a link to my free PDF so you can see all the different landmarks that represent the different phases of your dating journey, help you to get through the blocks and recognize what might be blocking you from getting your dream relationship. Let's get back to the story. So with Joe,
Yeah.
there were three different times when you guys got back together again. Were you guys in a committed relationship?
Well, yeah. Well, yes, to my knowledge. Um, I think with both of those relationships, it started off where, I said, this is what I'm looking for, um, with this understanding that, and I was always very upfront about, I want to have a relationship.
Okay.
Um, and I was met with the agreement that, like, yeah, but we're getting to know each other.
Mm,
Um, and to me, that seemed reasonable at the time,
yeah.
um, and then it was like after a while I was like, well, we're not seeing each other that much. We're only seeing each other maybe once a week. I'd like to see each other more.
Uh-huh.
It would get to the point where I would want to kind of start stepping it up because it's like, okay, after a month, I like you, you like me. let's see, do we want to continue?
Mhm.
Um, with Joe, I found out that he had been seeing other people, and I said, okay, well, that's not going to work for me.
You mean all
I'll let,
three times?
no, not the last time, but at first
Okay.
that was what had happened. And I said, no, that's not going to work. So I stopped talking to him. Then he contacted me again, like that August. And, he said, yeah, I'm committed to you. Um, and then he just didn't handle work stress very well. Uh, and he could be extremely explosive. And I just said, I don't need that in my life. Like if you can't handle that, and I certainly don't want to expose my kid to that. So, you
Absolutely.
know, and at that point, he'd still never even met my son. So, I just said, you're going to have to get that straightened out. And so I gave it some more time. And then when we reconnected, like in that, what was that, August of 2022, I had gotten a different job at a different law firm, which happened to be across the road from his work.
Oh no, wow.
So, that was interesting.
Too much
But
temptation, huh? I mean,
yeah, yeah, we were just right there. Like literally, I could look out my window and his window was there.
what?
Yeah,
That was the third one?
yeah, that was the
Oh
third.
wow, the universe was like, okay, this is not tempting enough. We're gonna up the ante here. That is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, it really was. Like the synchronicity was very strange. And so then we dated, and that was much more serious. Um, like I spent the holidays with his family, and like our kids met, and um, but then we just seemed to hit a wall, and he just started to get a lot more distant, and then um, yeah, I found out that he was like spending a lot of time with like what he said was a friend of his, like his kids were friends with this one girl, and like so he was spending a lot of time with like them and their mom. And I
Oh,
was like, okay, um, this isn't gonna work for me. I wish you well. I, we'll go our separate ways.
wow. Okay. Gosh. So you tried really hard, but clearly he wasn't good for you. But Tony, you guys had like a whole year together. And
Yeah.
was that more a committed relationship, more in like the kind of, or was he also someone that was seeing other people, or what was going on?
Yeah, he I don't know, he's a puzzle. Like to this day I don't really know. I mean, he was kind of volatile and secretive but not. Um, but of course all that didn't really happen until, you know, 6 to 8 months in.
Oh, so he started getting okay. He started getting volatile like once you were with him longer. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so that was like a very unique sort of thing that and I think it just was when I basically reached a point where I was like, we both enjoy each other's company. Um, we're seeing each other every day. Doesn't it make sense for and he moved into an apartment close to mine, like a block away from me.
Mm.
Um, but then yeah, it turned into this, I'm bored and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay. And
Oh,
um yeah, and I don't know if it's just like a thing in Minneapolis, like with this sort of like dating multiple people. I don't know if it's like a culture here or something. But like, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, you can go and you're free to do what you would like, but that's not. I don't have the energy to invest in more than one man, and I don't want to invest my time in somebody who wants to, you know, spread their energy thin amongst multiple people.
absolutely. So let's talk with this about this last person.
Yeah.
Was he more like was he committed more than the other ones?
Oh yeah, Ines is wonderful.
Oh.
Um, and it's weird. I know this is gonna sound so crazy, but so I already had a ticket to Albania.
Hmm.
Um, and I was gonna go, and um was on it was on Instagram. I had commented, I can't remember exactly what it was. I commented on something like an Albanian post, and
Uh-huh.
then he liked my post, and then he followed me. And then, we were like, I like looked at his stories and he looked at mine. And then one day he like commented on one of my story pictures. And so we started talking, and he lives in Germany. And my grandma really cute. So he's like, oh, yeah. So
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts.
yeah.
Because your
But
child now, what, he's how
10.
old? Oh, yeah, that's still really like in the middle of raising him. Let's see. Could you imagine
Yeah,
like moving him to Germany?
I could. My only worry is the language,
Yeah.
is learning the language and things like that. And, I just wish, like, my grandparents came from Germany, the same place in Germany where Ines lives.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was just like with him and I just feel like it was a lot of a synchronicity that is like, you can't make it up, like it just really weird things. And that was one of them.
Absolutely. Whoa. So overall, like when you look at your dating history, which is pretty condensed here,
Yeah.
2021 to 2025, that's like 4 years all in a really small picture, actually.
Yeah.
Is anything new or anything, what do you think when you look at this?
I mean, I know I'm kind of like beating a dead horse here, but I just think it's a function of like a consciousness shift in people now, in
Hmm.
terms of the way that they view relationships and dating. And I think a lot of it is just this culture of like a digital dopamine hit. What I've noticed, I've ended up dating men that have been younger than me and have more success. Usually men that are about 8 years younger than me.
Uh-huh.
What I've noticed is that men my age, and I never had done that until um, like when I dated Tony. That was the first time I'd ever, even considered dating somebody a little bit younger than me. And what I just noticed though, in men my age, I think they were married, um, they get divorced, and they're like, oh wow, I have all these options on the app, and so it's kind of like they go back into like a teenagerhood.
Okay.
Um, and so it's like, okay, I'm at the point in my life where that's not appealing at all. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you were looking for in terms of how I feel when I look at that, but
Well, I can tell you that I'm noticed that you consistently, you don't have to date long before you meet someone that wants to be in a deeper relationship with you.
I
Because
guess I
I'm
didn't think
thinking there's
about that.
not a
You're
lot of
right.
time in between. So it looks like
Yeah.
you are attracting people. That's not your difficulty.
Yeah,
Attract.
yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I didn't think about it like that because I'm always like, oh, well,
Well, I really appreciate you helping me by exploring this experiment.
yeah. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks so much for joining me, and I want to thank Jessica for sharing her dating history with us. And if you want to watch my next video that YouTube is recommending, it's going to be in one of these corners.